the queen here, the white Santa fetishist herself, Megyn Kelly, she was the topper. She was the topper. She kind of gets off on war crimes. She doesn't just get off on white Santas. She gets off on war crimes, apparently.
Really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken.
And you know who doesn't last a long time? Pete. We'll talk. We'll talk later. We'll talk later over some drinks.
Taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. I see what you did there. I was late on that joke. I see what you did there. Doesn't last a long time. There you go. Okay,
there you go. So Mark Halperin, it's funny with guys like Mark Halperin who get driven out of polite society, who just have to kind of take what they could get. Because you could see Mark Halperin, who was a respectable journalist at one time,
whether they're on the boat or in the water,
whatever,
but I'd really
for
like
what
to
it's
see
worth.
them suffer.
In
I would
our
like
media.
Trump and Hegseth to make it
being
last a long time
so
that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys.
Why? Why did I ask that girl to ride
almost
my
got taken out by the
mustache?
initial bomb, but because they
I didn't even have one,
ejected,
for God's sakes.
a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. I thought the same exact thing. Like, this is the price you pay for having a Me Too scandal, right? Like, now you are just forced to sit there while this lunatic rants just this deranged, sadistic, homicidal nonsense. You know what? I thought of this because Kern spoke at Kelly's event a couple weeks ago. You put the four of them on a podcast where Kern and Kelly rant on the top two frames, and then you have Matt and this guy just sit there. Okay. All right. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. Yeah. I get it.
For God's sake, will you let me change the subject? Please, dear God, let me change the subject.
The top half of the screen is these two ranting. The bottom half is just these guys rolling their eyes, being like, what are we going to do? That's what I thought. Because,
look at his face. Look at his face.
No, like, what are you gonna do? You can't stick up for yourself because she's one of the only people who will have you on because you're a disgraced person. You can't get on like TV anymore, so you have to sit there and take this. No, it is absolutely brutal. First of all,
it's really interesting how these conservatives are so into rehabilitating sex criminals.
Yeah,
they all want to interview Woody Allen.
Yeah, now Woody Allen too.
Best case scenario, he married his. People jump out to point this out. He never legally adopted her, but he fucking raised Sun Yi. He raised her, and then he married her. That's not disputable. I thought you people are for these conservative values, and you're obsessed with PDF files, right? Or you were. Until Daddy told you it's a Democrat hoax and you had to change the subject. Why would you go I can understand if your whole grift is oriented around kissing up to Trump, why you would get off the Epstein files. Why would you go out of your way to rehabilitate Woody Allen? Mark Halperin, why? Oh, the woke media went after him. I thought this is the kind of thing that you care about.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely insane. So I just want to play this because it's a short clip, but there's just so much to talk about here.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer.
Okay, first of all, as we mentioned in the last segment, you still don't know who these people are who you're wishing this upon. For all we know, these could just be fishermen. Like, you don't know that these are narco traffickers who you're wishing dismemberment. It's funny how Trump goes from the peace president to the dismemberment president now. Now it's not enough that they killed him. Now they should actually suffer. They should lose limbs and bleed out in the water. You don't even know who you're talking about.
I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water.
That's a red herring, whether you have sympathy for them or not. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's a war crime. It is a war crime. And, I saw somebody tweet this out in response to this, that Sirius should really drop her, or people should boycott Sirius until they drop her. I'm actually for that. Like, this is so beyond the pale and so sadistic. I do think Sirius should drop her. Now, that's not deplatforming. It would be deplatforming if, like, anybody could get on Sirius. If Sirius were a social media platform, and Russ and I could start a channel on Sirius, and the rule of Sirius is that anybody could post their content, then to throw her off of that would be deplatforming. But that's not what Sirius is. Sirius selects certain creators and gives them deals and pays them and makes them a part of the company, right? So to can someone over that is not out of bounds. It's like ABC canning Jimmy Kimmel for making a wrong joke or something. I think that should be on the table. Like, that is just beyond the pale. It is just so unbelievably sadistic and cruel and thoughtless and idiotic. Like, I don't think it's out of bounds for people to, like, say, hey, you know what? You shouldn't pay her to create that. Again, I'm not saying she should be thrown off YouTube, because YouTube is a social media platform where the concept is everybody has access. So she should have access to all the socials. Should a company like Sirius be paying this woman to put that shit out? No. And I mean, I can't imagine subscribing to Sirius now when you can get any music you want for $5 a month on Apple or whatever. But if you do subscribe, yeah, you should fucking boycott that. Like, that's fucking obscene to have someone on the air saying that shit, to be paying them to say that shit.
Yeah, and speaking of rehabilitating PDF files, this is the same Megyn Kelly who a couple of weeks ago started parsing out the definition of PDF files by claiming, if they're 15, well, that's not really being a PDF file.
Right. Like, she should be allowed to say that on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Fine. But should Sirius be paying her to say that? No, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. It is.
Well, boycotts are in bounds.
Yeah. Boycotts are in bounds. Yeah.
Like, if you want to boycott YouTube because you don't like somebody on it, then fine. But yeah, if you want to pressure Sirius to not have a contract with her, it really tells you how sick this movement, and I hesitate to use the word, has become. That someone like Megyn Kelly, who doesn't actually have political opinions other than just maybe general hatred of humans, but I mean, what politics does she have? She
was celebrating trans teenagers 8 years ago. She was having them on her daytime NBC show.
When libs, she was getting rehabilitated by the libs because she was part of Me Too. Anyone who was part of Me Too, they got a little bump with liberal credibility. But no, I mean, these people are criminals. They are enemies of the people. They don't care what the consequences, what the social consequences of what they say are. It's all about how's it performing in the algorithm, how much does it appeal to my audience. And very much like, when I do my Weird New York tour, when I talk about G.G. Allen, I say, the reason you would get a G.G. Allen, for anyone who doesn't know, he was a punk rocker that was known for defecating on stage and rubbing it on himself and attacking the audience. Well, when you've got basically an aesthetic that's about offending society, eventually you're going to get to that, right? Because you're going to have to keep doing this one-upsmanship. And eventually your one-upsmanship is going to bring you to the most disgusting, extreme thing you can imagine. That is very much what you're seeing with that whole media ecosystem, with that whole podcast bro ecosystem that she's a part of. Like, they seem to feel like they have to keep getting sicker. They have to keep upping the ante to keep their audience happy and engaged. And the less they can defend what this administration is doing on its merits, the more they're trying to defend it on pure sadism and cruelty.
Well, yeah, because that's all this administration has to offer is sadism and cruelty.
Right.
Like, if they were actually building meatpacking plants rather than closing the ones that they already have, then they'd have something to talk about.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
They'd have something to celebrate. They'd have something to tout. Right. If Trump actually ended the Ukraine war like he promised to within 24 hours of taking office, they'd get a lot of mileage out of that.
Right.
But they don't have any of that. All they have is misery and death and war and deprivation. And so all they can do is appeal to the lowest common denominator of the human psyche. Just scrape the shit off of the bottom of the barrel and pour water on that and hope it'll grow into something. Like, that's all you can do when your administration isn't giving you anything to work with except negativity. That's all that there is.
Please clap.